All right, so I'm listening to As It Stands Lakers, and he has a video saying that the Lakers, Dalton Knect likely to be traded. Yeah, he's right. That's true. Dalton is most likely to be traded. I want to talk about the bullshit that he is putting behind why Dalton Knect is going to be traded, because it's indicative of why the Lakers can't get out of their own way. I tell my kids, my dad always told me, look, man, you could lie to everybody else. What good does it do you to lie to yourself? Right? And a lot of times when we lie to ourselves, we conflate facts with the truth. That's what we do. Right? And, this guy is saying that the reason why Dalton Knect couldn't be played last year was because his defense was so bad. Look, I watched the games, okay? Dalton Knect, could he be better on defense? Yeah, of course, right? But his defense was not any worse than anyone else's. Did he have flaws? Did he have things that he could learn as he gets older, right? He's still a rookie. Albeit an older rookie, the dude is still a rookie. And to not give that kind of player a shot is the same reason why the Lakers have no assets now. Every time we get good young players, we use those players as scapegoats. We use them as the reason why we had struggles. If something was a problem, we're going to put it on that rookie or on that young player. And that young player is always going to be a prime candidate to get shipped out for a bigger name. That's what happens with the Lakers. That's why the Lakers stay. It feels like in a perpetual state of needing something and not having the assets for it. That's why. Right? So I'm listening to As It Stands Lakers, and he's talking about, for example, Dalton Knecht's upside. And he probably just doesn't have the upside because he's an older rookie, 23, 24 years old, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And I'm like, you know what? We saw his upside earlier in the season. We saw what his upside was. Are we saying that he is a 40-point per game player, night in and night out? No, we're not saying that. But As It Stands Lakers is saying that the reason why he had to go to the bench was because his defense was so bad. That is not true. He went to the bench. That's a fact. But this is where people conflate the fact and the truth. The truth is, Austin Reeves started playing better. Austin Reeves is getting more money. Austin Reeves is a veteran. Gabe Vincent came back. Gabe Vincent was playing like shit. And he still got Dalton Knecht's minutes. Because Gabe Vincent is getting paid more money. He was management's off-season acquisition. And he's a vet. It was only when Dalton Knecht's minutes started getting fucked with. Right? When his playing time, regardless of how well he was playing. When JJ Redick started touching his minutes and touching his playing time and giving this young player, this rookie, inconsistent time, did Dalton Knect start to play inconsistently? That is the truth. And I'm not sitting here pretending that Dalton Knect does not have flaws in his game or that he doesn't need to improve his defense. The whole freaking team needed to improve their defense. You got Austin Reeves, who steady gets switch hunted. I mean, I in my time watching basketball, I've rarely seen a player get switch hunted like Austin Reeves. I mean, they do that shit to him in the freaking, on the national team, they're doing that shit to him, man. Then you got Luka. Luka is in too poor a shape to be a good defender. He has the potential to be a good defender. As a matter of fact, I am often shocked at how well he moves his feet and how smart he is in getting to different spots to defend a player. But the fact remains, he is in too poor a shape to be a good defender. But it doesn't matter with those guys, right? Now, if you're trying to tell me that Dalton Knect is too poor a defender because you're also playing Luka and Austin Reeves. Okay, I hear you on that. Because in all fairness, right, that's the same reason why I think Austin Reeves has to go. Because you can't have redundant bad defenders, just in the same way that you can't have redundant similar offensive players. Especially when two of those offensive players have so much gravity on a basketball team. You have Luka, you have LeBron. You don't need a third player that needs the ball in their hand to perform, who is not really a slasher, right? You don't need that. In the same way, Austin Reeves got to go. I understand the logic. And look, I'm not saying Dalton Knect shouldn't be traded. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the Lakers have a proclivity to discard young players with upside who will ultimately become very valuable. The Lakers have a propensity to do that. And the reason why they do it is self-preservation. Right? So again, I'm listening to As It Stands Lakers, and you could tell he's just laying the framework for why you should support a trade of Dalton Knect. That's what the video should have been called. Here's the framework, from my opinion, as to why you should support a trade of Dalton Knect. Right? And if you feel that way, I'm not tripping about that. But don't use facts in order to establish your truth. Right? I mean, the truth is the truth. Facts are facts. Okay? Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. You hear a lot of Republicans yelling that right now. Abraham Lincoln, we are the party of Lincoln. No, you're not. There was some stuff that happened between Abraham Lincoln and now that flipped the parties. I understand you don't want to acknowledge that because you want to use that as a talking point, and people often do conflate facts with the truth. So I understand that's what you want to keep the whole conversation on that frequency, but you're being deceitful. And you're kind of being deliberately deceitful. So I'm listening to As It Stands Lakers, and he's talking about how, if the Lakers were to trade Dalton Knect to Charlotte, I'd be happy for Dalton Knect because he's going to get an opportunity. You see, if he goes to Charlotte, he's going to be the third, fourth option. If he stays here, he's going to be the 9th or 10th option. Says who? Says who? Says you? Right? Okay, so I'm not, dense. I understand that you believe Dalton Knect is going to be the 9th or 10th option if he stays with the Lakers. Let's get something straight real quick. If Dalton Knect goes to Charlotte and Dalton Knect drops 20 points per game, which I think he might do, I would not be surprised if next year he drops 17 points per game on a very respectable field goal shooting. And I would not be surprised if all of a sudden us Laker fans who are watching Dalton Knect see him play and say, hey, his defense is not that bad. All of a sudden his defense isn't an issue when he gets to Charlotte. Because his defense was never really an issue. I'm telling you, I watched these games, and one of the things in watching Dalton Knect, one of the things I did not say was, this guy is just such a liability on defense. He can't be played. That's what As It Stands Lakers was trying to tell the audience today, or yesterday, whenever he put the video out. That Dalton Knect's defense is so bad that he couldn't be played. Well, look, this is what's wrong with your logic, right? Why could no one be played in the second half of Game 5 against Minnesota? I say that to say this. We are dealing with a coach who is immature and is illogical sometimes. Now, a lot of you are going to say that I am being condescending or mean to JJ Redick. I'm not. I'm telling you what is. Okay? When you acknowledge, see, this is what we have to acknowledge as fans. JJ Redick did not get the team prepared. he felt he had 5 guys prepared and qualified to play in the second half of Game 5 against Minnesota. So who does that reflect on now? Who are we talking about? Are we talking about the players on the Lakers who were unplayable in the second half? Or are we talking about a coach who made his team, the team he was hired to prepare, unplayable because he refused to play them? You see what I'm saying? And that is the subjective nature of Dalton Knect's situation. Dalton Knect's situation is up to the Dalton Knecht's career is at the whim of JJ Redick. That's it. That's all it was. Gabe Vincent and Austin Reeves had to play. They had to play, and in order to justify Dalton Knect not playing, knowing Dalton Knect gets paid a lot more money, a lot less money, he's not going anywhere. In order to justify that, this narrative started to form that his defense was just, he shouldn't even be in the league. That's what you might as well go ahead and say. His defense was so bad last year, he couldn't even get in the game. Well, the whole freaking team outside of 5 guys going to get in the game in the second half of Game 5. Right? Were they that bad? Or was that at the subjectivity of JJ Redick? And that's what I'm trying to say here. That's what I'm trying to say. Look, I respect facts. But when you use facts to establish a bullshit narrative, and you use facts in order to get your vision and your idea of what's correct just promoted a little bit more, you're being deliberately dishonest. Don't be deliberately dishonest. Okay? His defense could improve, as could a million different other aspects of his game. But don't act like that was why he didn't get playing time. That's bullshit. He didn't get playing time because he was the easy target. He was the easy hit. He was the easiest person to justify, somebody not getting playing. If you want to make veterans not pissed, give the veteran playing time. Right? A rookie is a rookie. A rookie is almost a pejorative term for a player in a certain context. Right? Oh, we can't have him play. I heard somebody yesterday say that if the Lakers got somebody, then that person, of course, they're not going to be playing in the offseason. So why would you even say that? What do you mean, of course, they're not going to be playing in the offseason? If we were to acquire a rookie with the 10th pick, right, and I keep saying 10th because, in my opinion, Houston wants to trade that pick. And I think the Lakers are a perfect trading partner. It would involve Austin Reeves, but I think the Lakers are a perfect trading partner. Like an Austin Reeves and 2031 unprotected for Jalen Green and the number 10 or something like that. I could see that happening, But this person was talking about how if the Lakers were to pick up a rookie or they were to pick up a second rounder or whoever, that player would probably be unplayable. And I was like, you guys keep falling into these stupid ass narratives. If a player is good enough, play him. What don't you understand? And then it makes me understand better why I made up a video yesterday saying JJ Redick doesn't know what his job is. Because so many of you, and you know what? It's funny. I did not think this way until I started making videos and having a channel and putting out, content. I did not think this way. But the internet influences so many of you guys. It's ridiculous. You guys don't have your own opinions anymore. You guys are a slave to the narrative. Not you guys. Look, I don't mean to offend anyone. The other day in a video I said I mentioned morons. I only mention morons to the people who want to stay simple-minded and act like they don't understand what I'm saying, But Yeah, so I don't mean to offend, but when I say you guys, I just mean a lot of people, right? Not necessarily the person watching this video, but people want to believe and fall into the narrative, almost like it's the safe place to be. And I made a video saying I think Nikola Jokic is not a top 5 center ever, and I don't really think it's close. Right? The dude's defense sucks. For a center, for a rim protector. That's the other half of the game. You could win games just being a great rim protector. You could win a series. I've seen Dikembe Mutombo do it. Akeem Olajuwon, Ralph Sampson did it. Right? You could win a series being that good, and he just has terrible defense to me. And I don't see how a player like Akeem, who has similar to maybe as good an offense, but is maybe the best defending center ever, could not be above Nikola Jokic. Right? That was my logic. And anyone who hears this understands that logic is not far off. That logic actually tracks. But the narrative, especially right now, right in this moment, as we speak today, the narrative is Nikola Jokic, is he the best center ever? I think so. I think he is. I think Nikola Jokic is the best center. That's the narrative. So when you have someone say, and they provide logic and context, that, hey, I don't think he is, and here's why. Defense is the other half of the game. If Nikola Jokic is a 10 on offense and Akeem Olajuwon is a 9.5 on offense, and Nikola Jokic and Akeem is a 10 on defense, and Nikola Jokic is a 4.5. Right? Same goes for David Robinson. Same goes for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Same goes for Wilt Chamberlain. If those are the different, so you could provide context. I'm providing context. Right? And it just doesn't matter in this era in which the narrative matters. And that's what I'm starting to see more and more out of Laker talking heads and out of the Laker organization, is that you see a narrative being formed. And it just keeps getting dropped into your head, and then before you know it, you're saying, Dalton Knecht's defense is terrible. I've seen Dalton Knect have bad plays. Slip up on plays. I have not ever seen him play terrible defense. I don't know what people are talking about. And they keep saying this shit. And it's like, yo, what are you talking about? I've never seen him play terrible defense. What is your angle, man? Why do you keep putting this shit out? What are you talking about? I've never seen Dalton Knect. I'm not talking about a play. Everybody has a play. I get that. I'm talking about terrible defense. I don't know what they're talking about. And this dude, as it stands, Lakers a host, and he's just steady talking about how his defense is just so bad. And it's like, yo, dude, who are you trying to prove this to? We get it. You think his defense is so bad that he didn't deserve to play. And then the dude says, well, see, if Dalton Knect is not, going on one of those heaters where he's getting 30, 40 points, then you can't even play him. It's like, what are you talking about? The fuck are you? Yo, man, I don't know. I don't understand, man. I just don't understand it. It's like, what do you want to believe? Just tell me what you want. Do you want to believe Dalton Knect's defense is just shit? Right? And so now you're justified to trade him. Is that what you want to? Just tell me what you want to believe. Right? So that when I hear this bullshit, I could better compartmentalize it and throw it in the trash. You know what I mean? Just say what you want to believe, man. Because what you're spouting is bullshit. And again, these cats come on. It's like what they said about Dr. Dre and Real Compton City G's, man. You mastered the bang and the slang and the mental of niggas in Compton, Watts, and South Central. You mastered the bang and the slang and the mental, right? And it's like these guys get on these their channels, and they've mastered the image, the talk, the mentality of a radio host, of a commentator, of a specialist. You know, you mastered that shit, and you come on, and your channel looks well, and it looks good, and everything. Again, I got the equipment right here to make my channel look better, but I'm not doing that shit because of how a dude like As It Stands Lakers is talking, right? Because what I know I will hear from Trevor Lane coming up soon. Just some shit about why Dalton Knect gotta go. You know? And then they'll talk about how his defense is just, oh, this defense. Yo, I have not seen a game where Dalton Knect has repeatedly, I mean chronically, I'm not talking about a one-off. I'm not talking about the exception to the rule. I am talking about the rule. Where the rule is Dalton Knecht's defense sucks. I have not seen a single game that justifies that opinion. I haven't. There are players like Luka who, yeah, I see it every freaking game. His defense sucks. If he gets fouled and he don't get the foul, his defense sucks. Every freaking time he's fouled and he don't get the foul. Because he's going to bitch and complain for 2-3 seconds. A whole freaking play is going to pass him. Right? The whole opposition is going to be going down towards the other end of the court. And he'll be turning around after doing this to the ref. You know, and then he'll start heading down. Every play, he gets fouled, or he thinks he's fouled, and don't get the call. His bad defense. I can't give you that scenario for Dalton Knect. I've seen teams match hunt Austin Reeves to the point that it almost felt like abuse. I see that more than I've seen just bad defense from Dalton Knect. In other words, when I watch the Lakers play, I know there are plays in which Dalton Knect's defense is not good. That goes for Jackson Hayes, LeBron, Rui. That goes for all of them, right? But when I watch the Lakers, you make mental notes of stuff that is worthy of being acknowledged, right? LeBron missing a 3 is not worthy of being acknowledged. LeBron taking 11 threes is worthy of being acknowledged. And if he misses 9 of them, it's worthy of being acknowledged. And if the coach does not pull him aside and say it, that's worthy of being acknowledged. But you're not tripping over a 3. I'm asking you for real. Is there anything that you've seen out of Dalton Knect that says anything in his defense is worthy of being acknowledged? And then this is the other thing. And this is the other reason why I brought up the fact against the truth. As It Stands Lakers starts talking about all the advanced metrics, and all the metrics say that Dalton Knect is terrible on defense. Remember when the other day, I made a video about why the Lakers actually retracted the Mark Williams trade. And they said it was behind a physical. That's bullshit. You could make a physical look like anything. What you see on a physical is in the eyes of the beholder, right? And I'm telling you right now, you could make stats look deceitful. And the person who is steady relying on stats, and that's what the dude said. He said that you look at the metrics, and Dalton Knect is the worst defender by a mile. This, that, and the other. That's why he couldn't play. That's such bullshit. It's just total bull crap. You know, what opportunities was he given? You know, it's real easy. Look, does anybody here think that in the middle of a small town in Minnesota, say a small poor town in North Dakota, there's not a brilliant kid sitting there who has the ability to change the world, but he just doesn't have the opportunity? Right? I mean, have you ever thought about that? You know, it's a basic concept in economics. When you get the maximum out of everybody, the whole society gets helped. When you could touch on everybody's talents and their skills, and then exploit those talents and skills, everybody gets helped. I'm just saying that, let's say you got a rich family living on the shores of Florida. Their kids are no more bright than the kids who may be born in a poor area in Arkansas. It's both the same. It's just, what opportunities do you give them? Think about this. Have you ever thought about the fact that you might be great at something, but you were just never exposed to it? Like, how do you not know that you're a great sculptor? How do you not know that? Well, if you were never exposed to sculpting, you won't know that. Right? I mean, how do you not know whether you're a great mechanic, if that you're really mechanically inclined? Well, if you live a life in which you don't really have that shown to you, or you don't have that put in your hand, you may never figure out to what extent you're actually really good at something. My point is, this dude's talking about how all the metrics say Dalton Knect is a bad defender. He's the worst on the team. I'm not saying that there aren't some metrics that will point to that. What I am saying is that the dude was never given an opportunity. He was given an opportunity early on in the season when something was going on with Austin Reeves, and I know Gabe Vincent was injured. He was given an opportunity then. Once they came back, his minutes slowed, went down, and then once Dorian Finney-Smith came to the Lakers, his minutes went down even further. But when he had the opportunity, I'm not talking about auditioning minutes. I'm not talking about 7 minutes here and 4 minutes there. When he was given the opportunity, the dude did well. It was not until his minutes and his opportunity got sliced that he started playing, you could argue, poorly. So, I just want to go forward, right? Especially, like, not just with this channel, with this country. Understand that things are maybe deeper than what you see. That there is a context that needs to accompany the truth. There's context that needs to accompany facts. People can use facts to tell you anything you want to hear. One other thing I always hear, some scientists say that cigarette smoking does nothing to you. So if you find 2 scientists that say cigarette smoking has no effect on you, then that makes the statement that this person just said true. They're right. Some scientists say cigarette smoking does nothing to your health. It's not a problem. Did they lie to you? No. Did they tell the truth? Fuck no, they didn't. And that's what I'm starting to hear. That's what I hear. Like as it stands, like his whole freaking video was facts and facts and facts, then narratives, and no truth. Dude, tell the truth, man. Okay, I'm not saying Dalton Knect shouldn't be traded. All right, but just tell the truth. Okay, if you want to make him eligible, or if you want to put him on the trade market, just do it and say why you want him on the trade market. You don't gotta lie though, man. And to me, when you don't tell the truth, you're lying. It's not when you don't say facts. It's when you don't tell the truth. Right? And then a lot of y'all is doing it deliberately, man. You guys doing this shit deliberately. But and I said this yesterday, this is very similar. And this is why I think that Laker management is dropping a lot of these stories, or a lot of these rumors, and they're letting the talking heads pick them up and run with them. I don't think that Laker management is necessarily working with the talking heads, but I think they drop these stories and lines in their ears, and they might feed it to them, right? And then they let them pick them up and run with them. That's why I believe that's what's going on, because it's just too prevalent, you know. And you see that it's not just that you're explaining why you think something should happen. You are walking with a narrative. You're pushing a narrative, you know, and that's what I don't like, man. I don't like that. So anyway, this is Pure Uncut Lakers. The other day, man, I was talking about why I did not want to use my equipment, because I don't want to look like these people who are just being deceitful. I don't want to look like them. You know, I want you guys to see when you see this gritty picture come up, you guys know who it is. I feel like that could be my identity. That could be my signature. You know, yeah, man. It really bothers me how people are talking about Dalton Knect, and I'm not even opposed to trading the dude. And I'm not somebody who says no, we can't trade such and such and so and so. I think that's more happening with Austin Reeves than with Dalton Knect right now. I think that somebody said, yo, we can't trade Austin Reeves. Not that they won't, right? It's just that their preference is that they don't trade Austin Reeves. And I personally think that those two are redundant, in that if you have one, you can't really find time to play the other. It's just that I prefer Dalton Knect because I think he fits better with LeBron and Luka. You know? But yeah, I think you hear more of that the narrative of, yo, we can't trade Austin Reeves, than you do Dalton Knect. And I understand why. Austin Reeves been with us for forever. But Austin Reeves is too redundant. And if you're about winning, in my opinion, you get rid of Austin Reeves. You get the assets that you need to better fill out the team. Yeah, man, the drum beating on Dalton Knect, man. I wasn't tripping about the Mark Williams trade. But I just want to make sure that we have our heads in the right place. And we're not lying to ourselves, right? Lie to other people. It does no good to lie to yourself. You know? And I want to make sure we're not lying to ourselves. If you got to trade them, trade them. It's what it is. That's a business. Just don't lie to yourself before you do it. You know, and you'll make a better trade. You'll make the right decisions if you do that. All right, y'all. This is Pure Uncut Lakers. Please like and subscribe, and I'll hit you again.